Right, Minister of Water and Sanitation, Pemmy Majodina, is today expected to host the media. This is for the reopening of the Lesotho Highlands Water Tunnel. The Lesotho Highland Water project tunnel is a transfer tunnel linking the Katse Dam with Muela Power Station. Here's SABC News Reporter Aphumelele Mdlalane, who's covering the story for us and joins us now for a live update. So, Aphumelele, finally, the Lesotho Highlands Water Tunnel opens. Take us through what's happening where you are now.
Well, we do expect just a short media briefing before we go to the tunnel, and we must remember that it's been 7 months since this maintenance took place, and they spent about 320 million rands, and they did mention that this is one of those major maintenance that was set to be done just to take care of the infrastructure. Though there were challenges, we must remember that they were supposed to have taken 6 months, but this is the 7th month. We're just going to talk to the Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation just to understand as to how has it been. We do know that there's been challenges because this is coming from Lesotho side to South Africa. 4 provinces as a result had a low volume of water. Where are we now?
Well, no, thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity. You're quite right. Delays that were, of course, not anticipated, but as a result of some of the engineering issues that were experienced in the Lesotho side, we were done on our side as South Africa, but of course, these are things that you don't anticipate in a construction site, and then there needed to be some issues that needed to be resolved. All of those are done now, and I think today we are obviously going to witness what we've been long waiting for as South Africa, and that is to see water coming into and flowing into the integrated Vaal River system. But I must also emphasize the point that whilst there were those delays, our water balance, particularly in the context of Gauteng, was still okay in terms of the Vaal River and so forth and so on. So from an abstraction point of view, things were still okay for us as a country. And I know that there were a lot of people who said, of course, there's going to be issues of water in December and so forth and so on. We've never really experienced that. But these are unforeseen circumstances, unfortunately, in construction sites, and we're happy that we are here to be able to witness the water that is coming through the tunnel.
Quite interesting. So when we get there, I want to believe that we will see now the official reopening where we'll see water. And here in the Eastern Free State, there are those towns that were badly affected by this, especially the farmers saying that they cannot now, irrigate their farm. And they've been saying that there has not been that sort of communication thereof, or a mitigation factor where they'll be distributed with your water tanks. How have you been doing to make sure that such stakeholders are not being affected?
I think one thing that we must commend the ministry in terms of the build-up to the closure of the tunnel for maintenance purposes was that we took everybody on board, both here in the Free State, mayors, MECs, the Premier, as well as in Gauteng, to say, look, this is going to be what is going to happen. We've got obviously reserves in one of the dams. Should the decline in the Vaal River, as you know, go down, we would then be able to release water from that particular dam. And we had said and indicated that municipalities themselves have a responsibility to make sure that they've got reserves and they're able to also put contingency measures in place, such as boreholes, which we are also assisting with, the issue of water tankers, as you've correctly pointed out. We must also indicate that where municipalities were falling short from a communications point of view, we as the department were also coming on board and making sure that they're able to communicate accordingly. We were asking them to say, but what is the feedback in as far as what residents know, particularly business, and you're speaking about farmers in particular, to say, how do we then begin to communicate so that they know exactly what is happening and where they can get provision for water in the interim whilst we continue with the maintenance. Unfortunately, in some instances, municipalities are not the same. The impact is different and so forth and so on. And those are things that, unfortunately, as a national department, we can't always be seen to be everywhere. There are spheres of government that also need to take responsibility in issues of water provision and so forth and so on. This maintenance, as the minister has emphasized many times, was an imperative because it's water that obviously is dependent by Gauteng, Mpumalanga and the northwest, where the rainwater abstracts obviously from the Vaal River. So it needed to happen. And it's just unfortunate that we then had a situation where farmers, business and communities, were experiencing, low water delivery and all of those other things. But those are partly because municipalities perhaps were not really geared and prepared to be able to make sure that they're able to provide water. But we hope that today, after a very long time, that the water that has started trickling into the tunnel will be able to provide that relief. But it was important that we do the maintenance, and it's just unfortunate that municipalities were not adequately prepared to then deal with the issue of how they then provide water in the interim.
Well, thank you so much, Deputy Minister.
Thank you so much.
Sello, Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation. I just want to indicate that in the Eastern Free State, this is one of the areas in the Free State that is suffering when it comes to the provision of water supply and the farmers thereof. This situation made it worse because they've been saying that they are struggling when it comes to their farming. But with this now, this update whereby this tunnel will be reopened, that simply means that the volume of the water that they'll be receiving, even though this tunnel concentrates major on the provinces that are said, of course, the Gauteng, the Mpumalanga, the Northwest, other than parts of the Free State. But we do know also that there were dams, bigger dams like a Stekfontein dams that were used to distribute water as an interim. But we just want to see what's going to be happening today. We'll have to go back to the stakeholders that have been affected, especially the farmers, because they've been complaining that there has not been any means of interim measures that were put in place by the municipality this side, which is your Ditlhabeng municipality or Maluti Apofu municipality. They've been saying that they've been dealt with a huge blow, but with this now, the opening of this tunnel, we want to understand that things will be better. It's back to you.
And of course, looking forward to also hearing from some of those communities there. And I'm sure Aphumelele will also be getting more of a comprehensive update as well with that media briefing that is expected to happen a bit later on. But in the meantime, thank you so much for that update. That's our very own Aphumelele Mdlalane, who's in Clarence in the Free State, for us on that story.